Good morning.
Morning.
This is Dennis,
This is Paul.
and we are Waves and Wheels. Looking back with Dennis and Paul. Welcome.
We've decided today that we're going to do a little Q&A with each other. Talk about our past surfing lives. We're probably going to do something similar to this with skateboarding down the road. But we've talked about a little bit about our surfing history and around town and Seal Beach and other areas that we've lived. But these are going to be a little more specific.
A mini interview.
Yeah, a little mini interview.
Mini interview each other.
So we're going to ask each other basically the same question, or we're going to answer the same question.
Yep.
Okay, and then if there's any other questions along the way that we want to throw in, we'll feel free to do that. So the very first question: who's our favorite surfer to watch, and who we think is the best surfer?
The best surfer.
Yeah,
Wow. I'll go first.
that's loaded. Go ahead.
Oh, Mr. Cotter. Yeah, Mr. Cotter. I am a person, actually, I'm going to say that I don't normally idolize people. I have a habit of going over what they do and stuff that stands out to me, and I steal it. I borrow it and put it into my own use. But if I had to say at this day and age, my favorite surfer would be, I don't even know his first name, Toledo.
Oh, Idilo?
No, Felipe Toledo. And when he's riding the, I guess it's a graphite forefin. It looks like it's on a track. It looks like he's riding a roller coaster and just holding on to it. It carves so well, and I love carving. I really like to see the waves get changed.
Yeah.
I guess
More so than like the aerial stuff.
Yeah. Even though he's very good at the aerials, but that is one person that can put a gouge in a wave that it's a major emergency. he really surfs well, and that's what I admire. Again, I'm not a big aerial person. But I am a forefin person, and he seems to have found one and that was, when we get to, I think one of the questions is your board. I had a board that did that too. It felt, when it rode correctly on the right waves and everything was going right, it felt like it was on a track. It was just like I'm on a roller coaster, because it was just so powerful yet stable, and that's what he looks like. And then he'll just pop it in the air from a 10-foot aerial, just to add to that. So I would say Felipe Toledo is my favorite surfer now.
Cool.
Now.
Anything in the past?
Yes, there is actually, and it brings up kind of a sore spot. when we were at Harbor, I don't know if you remember Fleet White. He was a Harbor guy that moved to Hawaii right away, and he was a smooth surfer. There was one cut back in the magazine I like, but it was Billy Hamilton was my guy back then. Style,
very smooth,
stylish. Not big head. Same with remember the guy, Mark Price. I remember his name. Another guy, not necessarily favorite person to watch, but you can see my reasons were not, that the guy absolutely rips the crap out of a wave and makes, and treats everybody like shit. I like the whole package. These are good human beings too that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They've got the whole thing, and that's it. But yeah, I would say Billy Hamilton, and just to the negative note on that is Laird Hamilton. We won't go into that.
All right.
Okay, Paul, who is your favorite?
Well, I have a couple. I'll go in chronological order. The first guy that really impressed me that I couldn't get enough of was the first time I ever saw Barry Kanaipuni surf in Island Magic. Was it Island Magic?
I don't know, there was a bunch of them back then, but yeah,
he was just unbelievably powerful.
And the board's like a toothpick.
Yeah, and aggressive.
Yep.
And I just love and have always loved power surfing over finesse aerial stuff like that.
Yep, me too.
And I guess that has a lot to do with the era that we grew up in.
Yeah, we weren't doing that really.
But then I take it the next step. The next guy was Lopez,
Yeah.
because of how smooth and graceful he was, and how he made the insane look really easy.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
grace
you-
under pressure.
Yeah, and he just was unbelievable to watch. And then, the next generation, I wasn't really a big Kern fan, although he was a good surfer and everything like that. But I wasn't into Sean Thompson and Mark Richards and those guys. But after that, the two guys that really stood out in my mind were AI and Kelly. Andy Irons, I just never realized until watching video footage of him how fucking good that guy was. Oh my God, he was such a good surfer.
Oh, yeah.
And every bit as good as Kelly Slater. And I may get a lot of, cheers for that, but he was every bit as good as Kelly Slater. Maybe didn't have the contest focus that Kelly had. Kelly was the best contest surfer that's ever lived, probably. And a great surfer and everything. And now present day, the guy that really impresses me a lot is John Florence. We saw him as a little kid surf, and then growing up to what he is. And
He sure
everything.
took all of that in stride. I mean, he was earmarked to be what he is now, and still was able to accomplish that, because a lot of times that'll drag you down big time. The expectations of fame and fortune or success.
Yeah. But my absolute favorite guy to watch surf, I've watched him my whole life. And he combined power and smoothness and just the insane ability to be in the right place at the right time. And it just used to drive me crazy, but I'd paddle out with a son of a bitch every fucking day, and he just drove me crazy. And it's this guy sitting next to me. And
The truth.
seriously, it's, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass or anything like that, but I used to just have the most fun watching you surf, especially when we were at like south side of Steel Beach, or in Huntington. Any waves that had any kind of power to them with spots where you could slot yourself, you just seemed to have this innate ability to be in the right place at the right time. And it was a lot of fun to watch. And, for those of you that don't know, this guy was a really good surfer, man. I mean, he was easily as good as anybody in California at one time. And probably, if he had ever made it into Hawaii, to surfing on the North Shore, in those days, would easily been able to hold his own against anybody there. And that's, again, not trying to stroke his ego or anything like that. It's just plain fact. He was just really good. And it amazes me that after we reconnected, that you could still see it. He was still better than anybody else in the water in his 50s, early 60s. Still better than anybody else in the water around us. And,
Because I wait till the worst people to go out.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of
It's a
that.
plan.
Okay. Best board you've ever had and why?
Oh, well, I'm going to have two.
That's fine.
And one of them was a 6 foot. It was originally a twin fin when the twin fins were coming back in, mid 80s?
Mm-hmm.
Or early 80s, I'm sorry. Mid 80s is when I
Early 80s.
stopped surfing for a while. It was originally a 6 foot twin fin.
Who shaped it?
By Ed Wright of Sunset Surfboards, and I was glassing my own boards at that time, which I pretty much always have. After I reshaped it, sorry, it was a square tail, double wing square tail, and I put dual flutes in the end of the tail that complemented the V, a little bit extra more V that I put in it, and he had put the concave on the bottom was in at the time, and there's that concave right before the fins. And I rode the board, I think 2 or 3 times and turned it into a 4-fin instantly, and rode that thing until it almost fell apart under my feet. And that was my first adventure into 4-fins, and I really caught on to it and started riding at that time. But interestingly enough, it doesn't seem that long ago, but it was 10 years ago, I got a Firewire, a Sci-Fi, and it was 6'8", I think. 6'8",
Yeah,
which was
I
small
remember
for
that
me.
board. I remember that board.
It was 5-fin setup with the boxes, and I had it set up as a 4-fin, and that one reminded me of Toledo. A couple ways I caught the thing, just felt like it was on a track, and I was on a ride at the carnival, and nothing could go wrong. You're not going to go off track, you're not going to spin out, nothing. So both of those boards, it was kind of interesting, but they're 4-fins, and that's the technology I like.
Yeah.
What about you, Paul? What's your favorite?
Well, believe it or not,
Little Otis?
not Little Otis. We'll have to tell that story
I
someday.
remember that.
Kurt.
Little Otis.
Good old Kurt. This will work for you, Paul.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the board that I have 2 boards like Dennis. One was a longboard, or is a longboard. It's sitting in my garage right now. Was a 9.6 John Keys, large single fin with 2 small keel fins on the rails. Performance longboard, concave in the nose, little concave in the tail, a lot of rocker. Just an incredible board that I could ride in almost any surf. Mm-hmm. And even waves had a little bit of hollowness to them. It worked well. And I can remember a couple of times grabbing a rail on a backside wave and pulling into a barrel on the thing, and it just holding. And it just really rode well. And I kept it all this time, and I've had it, God, since.
He makes a good board, I'm telling you, John. I'd forgot that one that I was riding in between the 7.6.
7.6.
Big guy try. I wish I had that right now. I'd go out.
Yeah.
But John Keys.
Yeah, a great board, and it's a what surfers call a magic board.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones you just never get rid of. If you can hang on to it, you do, and I have. And I love that board, and I don't know, it'll be hard to part with. The other one is an RGK. It was a 6'1", fairly pulled in nose with a wide winged swallowtail, and it started out as a twin fin that you grinded the fins off of
Did it again,
and made a 4-fin out of it.
Wow.
And my nephew Pete, who lives in Long Beach, has that board in his garage. I asked him never.
Still have that?
Yeah, I asked him never to get rid of it. Again, a magic board. I know I'll never be able to ride it again, but it's just one of those boards. And the one thing about that board that when it was changed into a 4-fin, it elevated my level of surfing. I think I surfed the best I ever surfed in my life on that board. And I mean, it took me to the next level just simply because of how well it rode and how much confidence I had in myself while I was riding it. There was nothing I couldn't do on that board.
It was faster, right? I mean, it seems like it's always faster.
Much faster down the line.
My dad, the only thing he ever said to me about surfing is like the fastest surface on water is a concave. It's not a twin. It's not something with a keel in the center of it. It's on the side.
Yeah. And when you put those twin fins, it just brings that water back to the back of the tail, gives it the lift, and it sits up out of the water, and it just rides like a.
But when you turn, you pop the other ones out, and you're turning on right on the rail. That's why the rail, having the correct rail also is important with that.
And I don't know what Bob did right on this board, but he did everything right. And adding those grinding off the 2 bigger fins, moving them, and adding the 2 other fins. you know, and those two the back trailer fins were only about that tall. And I don't know what it was about the board, but I could turn that thing straight up a wave, both front side and back side. It held an edge doing cutbacks. It held a rail in the barrel.
And it flew.
And it was fast down the line, man. And I mean, I rode that thing one day at Tabletops Reef. If I don't know a lot, if you may know or may not know, it's near Solana Beach. And it was a summer afternoon, hotter than hell out. No wetsuit, nothing. Trunking it. The water was like turquoise in color. And there were lefts coming off of that big bowl, off of the main peak. It looked like Ala Moana. It just lined up, and it was just section after section that would barrel. Or, I mean, it was a great day, and it was 2 feet overhead, handful of people in the water, and I rode that sucker out there, and it was just unbelievably. I mean, it was like, I don't know. It was incredible. But anyway. No more.
Favorite board.
Favorite board. Okay.
Next question.
Favorite surf spot and why?
Oh, yeah.
And I know there's many, so you need to list more than one. Go ahead.
Well, I obviously, like, you think about Seal Beach, which has jetties and piers and seawalls, and Surfside, which has a jetty. Obviously, I like the banking and bowling waves, but I also like Seal Beach itself out at River. And my reasons are, you can get waves anywhere, but how many people are with you, riding the wave with you, or whatever. I like a spot where there's not a consistent lineup, where you catch a wave and paddle back out and go, sit with another 100 people and get in line. Southside, where I surfed here in Carlsbad, is a lot like that. It reminds me of a mini sunset. The sets don't break in the same place every time. And I love it. I love it. You got to stay laid down. You don't sit on your butt and wait around and wait for somebody to hop you. So stuff like that, just challenges where I could keep moving the whole time while I'm out. Hollow, of course, everybody loves tubes, but initially I like going really fast and taking some gouges out of the wave, old school. So I would say, obviously, Seal Beach Southside, and Southside over here. I'll use the Southside, Carlsbad Southside jetties.
Yeah.
Now, you might have thought it would be like, some big name spot like Swami's or something, but that,
Swami's is fun, but it's packed.
You'll never get one wave without somebody eventually dropping in on you.
Yeah.
So, it's a package deal. And I've always felt that way. I'm really not out there for the same reason as other people, obviously.
Yeah.
It's bigger than just, than an ego trip.
Yeah. Well, for me, I have to go back to Seal Beach too. They call it -2s now, which is basically the bowl on the Long Beach end of Seal Beach, out in the river. There used to be a really wedgy bowl out there, in warm water, and I loved that wedge because you could take off on the backside of that wedge, and get a nice bunch of turns in and a cutback and everything. And I had the place wired. I knew it.
I never got a forefin on that wave, and I would have destroyed that wave with a forefin.
Yeah, it
and
would
I
have
never
worked
did.
really well.
Honestly,
I never rode a twin fin on that wave even. I just rode single fins on it.
I'd
But
love to take off in that corner on a forefin.
but I love that wave. I love Southside at Seal Pier, the wedge coming out of the pier.
Yeah.
I love that wave when it broke. It was fun, but I didn't like the crowd at Seal.
Yeah.
I really didn't like the crowd at Seal. I'm one of those people, I'm similar to Dennis in that I don't like surfing with a lot of people around. I really don't. Love trussels and everything like that, but again, crowds, everything. One of my favorite waves when it's breaking is Tabletops Reef in Solana Beach, because a lot of people don't surf it.
Yeah.
They all surf at Seaside or Cardiff or Swami's, Pipes, Turtles, all those spots. you know, and
Kind of a secret spot and wide open.
yeah, right out in the middle. And it gets surprisingly good waves, and it's uncrowded, you know, so, and that's what I prefer. I like blacks, but again, long walk and crowd and everything, but
I like walking on the beach at Black.
yeah, me too. And then, one of them that comes to mind, and people are going to laugh when I say the word, because it immediately inflects, how could you possibly like surfing there with all those people, but Malibu. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say Malibu is when I was young, 19-ish, 18, used to get up in the, before the sun came up and drive up to Malibu and be in the water. And this is during the summer. Be in the water before the sun even came up. And you'd be surprised that you could get waves without anybody in the water at Malibu before the sun came up. As soon as the sun comes up, people start showing up. But when it's twilight out or not quite daylight, there's nobody out. And I got many a day with chest to head high waves at the first point at the cove. Mm-hmm. No, nobody out, with just me and my buddies.
No Alan
Surf for an hour. No Alan Sarlo, none of those guys. Surf for about an hour, before the crowd starts showing up, and then the crowd shows up, and then you got to pack up and get out of there, or just surf with everybody.
Wild. I remember Peter grabbing me one time to take. He was pumping over there, and he drove up there and to take photos, and it was an afternoon, and I think I got like 3 waves. And it was big, and it was pumping.
Yeah.
And I was just pumping and turning like this the whole way, and it felt like I was actually either in the tube or in a position where I couldn't do anything. It was in such a critical spot the entire time, and people are dropping in, flying over me, in front of me, or I'll pass them up. And I was like, I think I got like 3 waves, and I was like, I'm never coming back here again. It was just insanely crowded.
Yeah, I surfed on a really big day like that, where you could connect the points.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe, you just flying down a wave that's, well overhead, and guys are just airdropping on you, and it's just like,
yeah, they're just flying, coming down, and I'm just flying by.
Yeah, it's just but if you ever, I would have loved to surf that place head high with nobody out.
Yeah.
Just to see what that was like.
Not alone with that one. Yeah.
And Rincon's the same way. I've surfed Rincon. It doesn't get as crowded as Rincon. Rincon's a great wave too.
Yeah.
But it gets crowded. Okay. Here's a good one. Biggest day ever.
That I surfed?
Yeah, that you surfed.
I'm not really sure what the size of the waves were. I don't know. Do you recall me ever saying, any specific sizes, just pumping are good? I don't really.
Well, I've never said it's 15 feet or 20 feet.
Yeah, for me it's hard to judge.
I'm saying.
Well, it's going to be Seal Beach.
Mine was double overhead.
Yeah.
And it was a day. It was a day at Seal.
Yeah, about the same. It was breaking outside at 13th, but it was riding inside because it's hollower.
Yeah, and it was huge.
Mm-hmm. Pretty big day on north side once, I believe. I remember I was talking about that before.
Yeah.
You know what I did? Again, when I had I had a couple of contracts where I had to go surfing sometimes. And I remember being forced to go out at Swami's on a huge day. Same thing. I remember Todd Martin, all those idiots dropping in on whoever, right there, John Glom. I mean, just everybody took off on the same wave. Like, I don't understand that. I just don't. But I've surfed Swami's pretty big, actually.
Yeah, me
and
too.
when we lived up on the point, I did. We would go down we had a rope down at the bottom.
Yeah.
We'd shimmy out and go out in boneyards in the afternoon.
The left.
And but you couldn't really tell. Outside, when those sets broke, the second and third wave of the set were completely smooth and glassy, and nobody would go out there, and it was blown out giant mush. But the in between waves were awesome.
Yeah.
And I lived on top of the point, so I was right there. I could get out, jump out of my apartment and look and go surfing within 20 minutes. So.
Yeah.
But I did get that quite a bit like that. I'd go out in the afternoon when I was blown out because some of after the big set waves broke, the rest of them were smooth.
Yeah.
So the Surf Swami's pretty big, maybe 8
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah. So Swami's fairly good size. Yeah. I don't know.
Not a big wave rider, by the way. Not really.
No, but do you recall? Let's see if you recall this. We got asked to go to Mexico. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and I got hit in the eye with a softball, and I couldn't go.
We didn't go,
Yeah.
and they wanted us to go to Todos Santos. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I was playing softball.
We didn't know what Todos Santos was.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Could you imagine showing up in a boat at Todos Santos and going, "Oh no"?
Not that much of an adventurist, I'm an outdoor person. Hate being indoors, but I'm not. I like coming home.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I remember one time I went, and this is when I was in high school. I went up to Santa Barbara with some friends to go surfing, and this is before surf forecast and all that kind of stuff. We didn't know any of that stuff. And we were driving up the coast, and we were driving past Rincon, and there was so much fog, we couldn't see any waves at Rincon. Couldn't see anything, so we just kept going. And we were going further north anyway because we were going to go camping, and we either camped at El Capitan campgrounds or at Refugios. And when we got to El Capitan, couldn't see anything in El Capitan either because of the same thing. And so the foggy, and then so we pulled up into Refugios, and this is before they built the campground on the other side of the freeway and everything. It was all just a campground with a big grassy area that onto the beach.
Yeah, the grass went right to the water.
Yeah, and then, a little bit of sand in the water. And we pulled up and we got out and we're standing up on the little grassy knoll looking, and there's a fog bank outside the point. But in the cove, there were waves that were about chest high, just peeling down in the cove, and there's nobody out. And we're like, oh shit, we're going, we're going to go out. So we get out and get our wetsuits on and we paddle out. And remember, we're 16-year-old kids, 17-year-old kids, 16 probably. And it was me and a couple of guys from school, and one of the guys' names was Mike Gillis. And I remember Mike because we used to call him Crazy Man Gillis. And he was really into smoking a lot in those days. And he was all, what's the word?
Tweaked.
Yeah. He was really in the bag. We paddled out. And he paddled into the fog bank to see
what's out there.
Yeah, to see if, where the waves were coming and try to catch something outside the cove to right into the cove. So me and my friend, what was his name? Rob, paddled into the fog bank with him. And he was about 50 yards ahead of us, maybe not quite that far ahead of us. He paddled into the fog bank. And as we paddled into the fog bank, it started getting lighter and lighter and lighter. We popped out the other side of the fog bank.
Another world.
And all we saw was Gillis scratching up this wave. It was the biggest wave we'd ever seen to date. I mean, it was big.
Right.
And he barely made it over the first one. And then it came, we're off to the side, so we're not in the impact zone at all. He's like right in the middle of the impact zone. And so he paddles over the first wave, and first wave goes by, and the second wave is coming, and it's every bit as big as the wave that he paddled over. And when I'm saying he paddled, it was well over double overhead. It was big. We came to realize that the fog bank that we were seeing all along the coast wasn't fog at all. It was mist from the waves. Wow. Rincon was like 15, 18 feet that day or something like that. It was huge. And he gets to the second wave, and he's crawling up the face of this thing, and it's not as critical. It's not going to break on him. And he turns around about halfway up the face of the wave and does a one-arm pop takeoff. And he dropped down. He was a fairly good surfer. He drops down. He's not even halfway down the wave, and the wave just goes completely over, just literally barrels right over the top of him. And as we're paddling out, we're watching him, and he just goes right up over the falls and boom. And just, he got up too high up in the barrel and, just, there was no way he was going to make it. And so we're watching him paddle. This is before everybody had surf leashes.
Oh man.
So he's paddling to the beach to get, or swim to the beach to get his wave. And my friend and I decide, well, we're not going to surf outside. We paddled back into the cove because it was big. And we surfed inside the cove all day long. And when we drove home the next day, we went by Rincon. Rincon was probably still 10 feet. And it was packed.
Not bad.
But yeah, that's the biggest waves I'd seen in California ever. And I've seen some pretty big days at Swami's.
Yeah.
Swami's will hold a swell.
Definitely.
Okay. Best wave ever.
Best wave ever.
One wave. If you have more than one, that's fine. But one wave that sticks in your mind.
Interesting criteria. Just that wave.
Any, or a wave that just sticks in your mind. It doesn't have to be the best wave ever.
I already talked to you about that earlier. But I just think that the weirdest one I'm going to go with was out at Southside. And it was like 3 to 4 feet. It was just, rideable waves. And I was out, there was an outgoing tide, and there's a jetty there. So the jetty, there's a lagoon emptying its water. And sometimes you just get this river-like thing going out there, and mostly it's hard to stay in position because of that. But I remember catching a wave, and I hung on the top of the wave, and then I went over the top of it, over the falls, and was able to land. And as soon as I looked up, it was lunging at me, so I just I didn't do anything, just crouched, and it went right into the tube. And I noticed it was coming up and going around me, but more like a rapids than a wave. It was in one place, sitting in one place. And I came out and without no time to go, what the hell was that? And it did it again. And then another tube, and it's sitting in the same spot. But this one it moved a little bit, and then there was another section, and I came out and I just looked back at like, what was that? And it was just like a freak wave. It was like one of those river rapids, but it was actually out in the ocean, caused by a wave and the rapids coming back. But I mean, the first part was a deep tube. I was just was basically going into, that's all I'm going to get. Let's see what happens. So, but my favorite wave would be New Break. A friend of my brother's took me down there one afternoon, and we surfed, and the sun was behind the waves, and it just stands up. And I just remember that twin fin I was talking about that I turned into a 4-fin was still a twin fin, and you just drive in, turn, and like right about here, cut back, and you're already in the tube. It was beautiful out there.
Yeah.
I think the first wave I caught, and it was cool because I did really well on it, and made some steep section or something, and got respect from some of the locals, and I ended up being able to ride some waves. Because New Break is very localized.
Yeah, and if you're not accepted, you don't get any waves.
Yeah. And you know me, there's 2 breaks. It's like Velzyland. The inside is Velzyland, is New Break. But I have a tendency to, instead of sit there on that ledge and wait with everybody else, I was going outside, and I forget the guy's name, very famous for that place, but that's his spot. And I never really got to him. He would catch a wave and ride by, and I'd shimmy out real quick and get one behind him. And he never really did get to say anything to me, but I could tell he was not digging it. But that's just my, I want to get the full effect, so I got all the way out there and was riding it. But the very first wave I caught at New Break was like a dream wave. Just back and forth, and you can see when you're bottom turning, and you're looking up at the web, and you can see the light through the back of the web because it was in the afternoon. It was just beautiful. Mm-hmm. So it's beautiful and unusual. 2 different waves. What about you, Paul?
It's hard for me because
I like them all.
And I have a few. One of the ones that has stuck in my mind for a really long time. Was a wave in Seal at the pier, Southside. on a good sized day, and it was catching a rebound off of the wall, and I was literally almost a piling inside the pier when I caught it, and I just, I mean, that thing comes out at a 45-degree angle almost, and I took off of it, and I made one turn up, set an edge, and headed right into that bowl, and that thing just, I didn't do anything. I just stood there, and it just went, and I mean, I literally was almost standing straight up and down in that thing.
I believe it.
And I was, beyond my arm's reach back. And I could see people on the beach watching me because of the angle. And I came out and kicked out in about 1.5 feet of water. And and it was just like, but it was like boom, 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 boom. It happened really fast, But that one sticks out in my mind. And then that one wave I caught the day I mentioned at tabletops was riding backside on that forefin, and it was like I was surfing in the islands. I remember it looked like the South Shore of Oahu on a really good day. Blue, crystal, bright, clear water, sunny, warm, offshore wind.
The elements.
Just all the conditions were perfect. And I just rode this wave, bowl after bowl after bowl, all the way in, to the shallows, and kicked out. And to this day, I remember it as being just one of those days. It was just one of those waves.
The funny thing about surfing, and I remembered after we said that, it's like asking somebody what was the best sex they ever had. The last one.
We won't go there.
Last time.
We won't go there.
No, that's what I mean. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
Right?
Okay. Favorite memory surfing?
Favorite memory?
Doesn't have to be surfing. Something that happened to you when you were surfing. Oh, you've got to have one or two. How about?
I know which one's my favorite one.
Go ahead.
Recent, right? Is my favorite memory. I guess it starts with running into Dave Nash from who owns San Diego Board Shops, and kind of befriended him, and he was we talked a lot, so he knew I was good at maintenance and maintaining stuff. So we talked about doing some work at some of his shops, his outlets, which I did. And he was in return, I was kind of like on his amateur team, and he granted me the right to buy anything that he could get for the same price as his for wholesale. And it makes you feel, it makes you feel important. It makes it, it really made me feel good about what I was doing, and it's not that hard for him to do. He just reached out like that. But then he finally got his hands on this one building, the Ocean House in Carlsbad, that he's been looking at for years to have it as a shop, an outlet. He finally got it, and he had a big grand opening. And then we were talking about it, and he invited me, and I asked him if I could bring my wife and Paul, my best friend, and he allowed that. And one of the best moments of my life, really. I mean, and it's a people thing. We ran into Peter Townend, and he was just lit me up, man. So, hey, it's the Dennis Ward, and it was just all over me. And not just then. Twice later, he came back. When are you gonna go tomorrow? Where are you surfing? The guy's truly a genuine person, and it makes me feel good that he would remember me, because I didn't give him anything to remember. And I remember that he and Ian were running the Hang 10 Pro Series in California. And they were always, we were buddies. And believe me, all three of us knew each other. But they all knew that I didn't like competition surfing, and they used to get on me about that and ride me a little bit. But no big deal. But just the recognition, that man's been around the world 100 times and knows 1,000 people at the level that he knows me, and just that reaction, I'll never forget him. That's don't idolize them. I mean, I'll never forget a person, like that. It means a lot to me.
Hard when somebody like that treats you that well.
Yeah, it is. And he's world famous, been everywhere, done everything, first world champion,
Yeah.
Just
Good
great
man.
to see that. I mean, was I eating that up? Hell yes, man. Everybody in that shop was looking at me
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah,
And me and Paul, we were together.
He treated me really well too.
Yeah,
Didn't
yeah.
know me from anybody, but it's really funny. I ran into him not long,
Yeah,
year or so later, and he remembered me.
yeah. I don't know how he does that.
I mean,
I'm telling you,
I literally talked to the guy for 15 minutes, and he remembered me.
Yeah. Those are the memories, surfing, I mean, like I said, it's like sex. Every time you go out,
Yeah.
there's going to be one good memory, or else there's no reason to go out. So,
I have two.
okay.
One, I'll be very brief with, is the first surfboard my mom bought me, and I think we already talked about this. When I got my very first real surfboard. I had a first board with a, 9.2 or 9.6, I can't remember what it was. I think it was 9.2 balsa wood board.
Mine was a paddleboard. Mine wasn't even a real surfboard either.
$7 I paid for it. But the first real board was the one my mom, who didn't have a pot to piss in, excuse me, saved up $125 and bought me a brand new board. That's my absolute favorite story in surfing.
That's awesome.
But the next one is a day. Dennis and I lived in the same building for a couple of years in Encinitas, Leucadia, on Hillcrest. And directly across the Vulcan, across the railroad tracks, across the Coast Highway, was a road that led up to Grandview, surf spot in Leucadia. And we went out one day, it was in the afternoon, after we had both got off work or whatever we were doing. It was a summer afternoon. It was warm. We were in trunks. I think we both had vests on or something like that. We used to wear vests in those days. And we went up to the edge and looked down, and there was a decent swell in. And typically Grandview breaks as you're looking out at it, the reef, and it breaks a left and a right off of this reef. And then there's a place down here called Avocados, and there's another spot. And over here is a place called Potato Patch, right? Tomato Patch, over here. And was a big kelp bed sitting outside. And tide was low, and the waves were breaking at Tomato Patch in through. And it was a weird swell because it was a summer. It should have been coming this way. Yeah. But it was maybe a west swell, I guess.
West. Yeah.
And there was nobody out at all.
Wow.
And it was just a nice long wave breaking through, and we're like, we're on this. And so we paddled out. Well, we didn't realize how big it was.
Yeah.
Do you remember that day?
I do.
It was big. And the first thing I realized, because we paddled out and it was breaking, the takeoff spot was almost in the kelp bed.
Yep.
And that's a long ways out. And we had surfed there a lot, and it had never been breaking out that far. Yeah. And it had never been breaking where it was breaking. And I remember Dennis caught a wave, and I caught the wave or the one after that after him. And all I remember is turning around and paddling for this wave. And again, it's the afternoon, okay? And so as I'm paddling, I'm looking in front of me, and I can, I feel the swell coming up underneath me, and I'm paddling, and all I can see is this shadow growing further and further out in front of me. And I'm like, holy crap, how big is this wave? And it just kept moving further out and further out until, I felt the wave pick me up, and I was off, and I stood up, and I, rode down to the bottom. Fortunately, it wasn't a real, it was not real mushy, but it wasn't, real critical. Yeah. I got to the bottom of that wave, probably because of how far out it was breaking. Mm-hmm. I got to the bottom of that wave and made a bottom turn and came up, and all I could see was this long wall of water in front of me, and it was big. Mm-hmm. And it was, I want to say it was double overhead. And and just nice turns all up and down, all the way down the line into the shallows, and then kick out, boom. And he and I rode it like that for the whole afternoon, and nobody out. And every wave did the same thing, just kept growing further and further out in front of you. And I was just like amazed at how big it was and how much fun it was. And it's like burned into my head. I can see the image of my first wave paddling and looking down the face of that wave and how far out that shadow was in front of me.
That would be a start.
Yeah.
It was startling to see that.
Well, it was like everything I could do not to pull out, not to pull out.
Yeah, that's probably what I'd do, sit up.
And I just like, oh my God. But I remember that, and it was a lot of fun that day. And then I remember when it was time to come in, the tide was so low that instead of it breaking all the way through the beach, it got to one area where it just all closed out over the inside reef. And that was actually scarier than the waves we were riding to try to get through that. Anyway, so that's the most favorite memory besides that first surfboard with my mom. And she surprised me with that, by the way. I didn't know anything about it. Okay, other end of the coin. Worst wipeout ever. Or a bad wipeout.
They all hurt.
Yeah, they all do.
Well, I guess I have to, the worst one that hurt my leg pretty bad. I was actually at Southside on a longboard, and when you get to the inside, when you're on a longboard, you want to get out that wave, because that wave just the same like he was saying, it all closes out at once in about that much water. I was riding along the top, and I just kind of, on a longboard, so you just kind of try to smooth your way out, and it didn't get over the top of the wave and caught and pulled the board down, and I tried to jump over, and it's only like a 3 or 4 foot wave on the shore break, and of course the board came up and hit me just below my kneecap on my leg, and I couldn't even walk out of the water, and in the following days there was blood coming down inside the leg. It was all blue, and it just, another inch and it would have hit my knee, my knee itself, and I wouldn't have been enough tissue there to take the blow, and it would have busted my knee off or something. It would have hit hard. I've had plenty of those. I've had same place, wave coming together. When you hit the thing, I can remember that my knee was almost in my
I remember
mouth.
that.
And actually made it and twisted my knee. And I paddled back out. I'm like, fuck, I think I hurt my knee. Stuff like that all the time. I've hit the water going fast enough to see stars many times.
Yeah.
You just like...
Where you skip when you hit.
Yeah, you bounce, and then it's not, water is not as soft as it looks when you're going faster.
Yeah, and when the waves are bigger.
What about you, Paul?
Well, the one I told you about in one of the previous episodes with cutting myself in the man parts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the worst. And then there's one in Huntington on a very big day at north side of Huntington Pier where I got basically tumbled a bunch of times and thought I was going to drown, and ended up, after the third wave rolled me without a breath, and I came up and I was standing in waist deep water. If I hadn't been, I'd have been dead.
Have you, at Southside, and granted, I had been sick, I know that, and I probably shouldn't have went out. I was pretty weak. I was dunking a wave, and I was just paddling out, and it picked me up. I never recall holding onto my board so tight and tumbling that long-wise. Like 2 or
With your
3
board.
cartwheels went, I just went, what are you doing? And let go of the board after. I couldn't believe. I've done side to side. It's easy. Long ways. I definitely did 2 cartwheels holding onto the board. And went, why are you holding onto this?
Yeah.
I've never, anywhere else, never had that happen before. You go sideways, you can roll a few times. End to end, roll.
Yeah.
Two, what do you want to call it? 2 rotations.
Yeah. I remember one day I was surfing at pipes in Encinitas on a longboard. I have a 10.6 Harbor 18 50-50 rail, old school longboard that I had made, and it weighs like 35 pounds, and it's, it's got a red. No,
Kurt?
no.
Somebody else, huh?
Yeah, Senate, was it Senate?
Oh, Tim?
Tim? Yeah.
Tim.
And it has, it has a redwood stringer in it. It has a tail block on it. It's old, and it's made with Volcom cloth. It's old school. I had to make it old school. And I was riding it on a very small, it's like, chest high day. And I remember I was riding a right, and I was inside, and a little section hit it and flipped it, and the sucker hit me right in the side of my knee, on my right knee, on the outside of my right knee, and it hit me so hard that my leg went dead. And I was laying in the water, and I couldn't feel. I was in pain, but I couldn't feel my leg was numb, and I kind of floated in to the shallows, and I was actually, as God is my witness, I was afraid to look at my leg because I didn't know what it was going to look like. I thought maybe it was bent sideways, or it was big gash, or But I mean, it was dead numb. I could not feel a thing.
Wow.
And finally got into shallow enough water and got the balls to look at my leg because I really didn't want to do it. And there was nothing wrong. Not a scratch on. It started blowing up like crazy. Got really swollen, and then the numbness was wearing off, and the pain really came on, and I couldn't stand on it. I kind of crawled out of the water and was sitting there, and another surfer came over and asked me if I was all right, and I told him, I said, no, I said my board hit my knee. I said, I can't even walk. And he goes, okay, well, let me go grab your board. And he went and grabbed my board, and I was surfing without a leash, and he went and grabbed my board, and there was a ding about that big in the rail.
Strong knee.
Yeah, and it's the only ding that board has on it, and I was like, holy shit! I couldn't believe it didn't do anything. It didn't knock my leg out of joint or anything.
Yeah.
And so as the numbness wore off and the pain grew, I was able to finally stand on it.
Yeah.
And I actually got somebody carried my board up because you had to walk upstairs. I had to walk all the way up those stairs. And a guy carried my board for me up the stairs, and I hobbled my way up the stairs. And I remember I loaded my board up, changed, got in my car, and my brother's office was in San Marcos. And I drove into San Marcos and sat in his office and ate a meatball sandwich with him with my leg elevated and iced before I made the drive home.
That reminded me of, remember at Surfside, I was surfing down by the jetty and that bowl that comes off of there. I took off on a wave and I turned and I came off of the top, and right here the backwash hit and just put my hyperextended one of my legs. I think it was the front one. And you know how at kind of high tide, it's, like you said, there's a trough right before getting out. It took me like 20 minutes to get out of the water. I was right there and I couldn't get out.
Yeah.
And like you said, mine eventually, the pain subsided so I could walk finally. Yeah. But I'm like, how am I going to get out of here? It kept washing me up. I put my foot down. No. Put my foot down. No.
We've all had those things, I
forgot about that one.
I mean, how many times have you been hit by your board? I got a scar underneath my chin here that I got when I was about, I'll say I was about 14 years old, got hit by my surfboard.
Just unweighting from the top and weighting down, and my board came up underneath me.
Yeah, I got a scar on my belly, I got scars on my feet, I got, cuts everywhere.
Well, that's my contention. It's like, I don't need anybody's help out there to hurt me.
Yeah.
I do it just fine myself. So stay
okay.
away.
Do you have a best day surfing?
A best day? I think any of them. The last one was over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Or no, 8 years ago.
Well, I have, like Dennis says, any day surfing is better than doing just about anything else.
Yeah.
We gave up a lot of our lives in the water. I spent a lot of time in the water, so any day surfing is
It's
better.
different to put it that way, but just for me, I don't know, because it's not a novelty.
No.
This was our lives.
Well,
and they say that they're living lifestyles now. You weren't.
No.
Yeah.
And what people don't understand, a lot of people today classify surfing because now it's in the Olympics and all that crap. It's a sport. It's not a sport.
No,
It's
an art.
It's an art and it's a lifestyle. It really is. And even though neither one of us are getting in the water anymore, we're still surfers because we live the lifestyle. And it just becomes a part of you. And so any day in the water is better than anything else in your life.
Is anybody nowadays taking stuff out of surfing? For instance, for me, growing up and surfing in Seal Beach and growing in all of Orange County, in a place where the waves weren't that great, but you made the best of what you could, that stuck with me. I've always been able to, see the cup half full, take what you have and make the best of it. And that's from surfing. It made me a versatile person that can do just about anything, and it started there.
Well, and for me, surfing was always the outlet. It
That
was always the place
Absolutely.
where if I needed to decompress, or I needed to think, or I needed to just get out of the world,
Can't take it out there with you.
I just I'd go surfing and I'd forget everything. And it's
I
just
think that's what people are doing now, and they don't realize the cost, the effect, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got there from a different direction. That's our whole life. These guys are just, I want to do what Johnny's doing. It's because it's available to you.
okay. Last two questions.
Okay.
Best surf movie ever. And we're going to have to qualify that because I don't know how much he's seen of the more recent movies.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
I haven't seen any.
I think 5 Summer Story. I haven't done it watching you.
Yeah.
Does it have to be a surf movie? Well, yes,
No.
a surf movie. I don't know if you've seen. Is it Thundercloud? About Cloudbreak and Thundercloud Duets or 2? I think it's 2, but Duet.
I haven't seen it.
It's just it's on Surfer Television, and it's about the huge swells that they've had at Cloudbreak.
Cloudbreak.
And amazing waves. It's so weird to sit at the side on those boats and watch that thing just go, real. You watch guys riding it and you go, that don't look that hard. Then you look at it front view and it's like,
Yeah.
15 foot.
That's what
It's just
watching those guys surf that is just amazing.
unbelievable. And this is what's his name? Gold. It's all the big guys, all the big name Herbie Fletcher, not Herbie. Nathan Herbie Fletcher.
Yeah.
All the big wave guys from Hawaii are surfing these waves. Okay, there was supposed to be a contest, a WSL contest, and it canceled. And then they took over in the afternoon, and it was just amazingly huge. But they have the offshore, they call it the devil wind, because when they're riding, you're riding a 15-foot wave, you're going through 3-foot chops.
Yeah.
And you're used to riding 3-foot waves, my friend.
Yeah.
So they're like,
Yeah.
and it's 15 foot as high as the building in here, over your head, just tubing. It's called
Over a very shallow reef.
Yeah, Thundercloud. Or Thundercloud Duet. I think it's 2 is what it's supposed to be. But that would be my favorite because it was just the easiest to watch. It was the same break. And I'll have to say I have seen other videos on the surfing channel or surfer channel,
Yeah.
all those, and the music just off of it, man. This insanely radical music. I can't even stand listening to it to watch the surfing. I don't see how they. I don't see how they meet anymore.
Yeah, I like things like Riding Giants was good.
Yeah. I saw that too.
And Momentum was good.
That's true. Momentum Generation.
Yeah, that was good. And everything.
What did you think about?
Classic surf movie was 5 Summer Stories for me.
Right. What about the Andy Irons story, Kissed by God?
I couldn't watch it.
I couldn't in the beginning, but I've watched it twice in the last couple of weeks. Not all of it, but yeah.
I watched it, and and I have nothing against Andy, and I can't live in his shoes because he had his own demons that he was dealing with, and everything. It's hard for me to watch somebody with that much talent, and I don't want to say throw it away, but
You can say it, Paul. I've been there, so I've done it myself.
Yeah, but I don't want to speak poorly about Andy because he had his own struggles.
Well,
He had
it's not
his,
necessarily him. Everybody
Yeah.
can have that issue. It's an issue. It's a
Yeah.
problem. And I had it at a minor level. It didn't kill me, and thank God I got out of it. But
yeah. It just seems that a lot of the guys in his era and from the area where he came from had issues like that, and I don't want to go there,
you can see I'm itching to go there.
Yeah, don't. We don't want to talk badly about anybody. So
It's not him. It's things, his choices.
yeah, it is,
You know?
and it's sad. It's sad. So let's finish this on a high note, okay? Let's finish this on a high note. Every surfer has got this. Best after surf place or food to eat.
Mine's going to be Mexican, and when Paul and I were in Seal Beach, it's going to be
Don Juan's.
Don Juan's. The what was it? The
Deluxe
quesadilla.
Yeah, with chicken.
The chicken quesadilla.
I don't know what they did in it. I don't know what they did to it, but it was about that big. And cheese and chicken and lettuce and
Well, it had everything. A salad, it had a salad, rice, beans. It had everything in it.
yeah,
too. So
and it was a meal, and it was delicious.
Yep.
And it was not $4 or something like that.
Yeah.
$3. So yeah, I always liked to eat Mexican food. It's really funny. I remember when I was in high school, the Taco Bell in Huntington Beach, right on Coast Highway, just down from where Gordy used to be, or not Gordy, but what was his name? Yeah, Gordy Surf Shop was right there. Just down,
Jack's?
No, Jack's was on the corner.
Oh, you're right.
Wind and Sea, and then Gordy had that standalone.
Yeah,
Was it
yes.
Gordy?
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then just down from that was where that Taco Bell used to be.
And they had the fire pit, like the original.
Yeah,
all
it was the old
Taco
original
Bells.
Taco Bell. But you would go there as a surfer, and they would know, they could tell if you were a surfer or not. And they would make you a special bean burrito, and they had like these extra big tortillas.
Surfer burrito.
And they'd pile the beans and cheese in these things with the red sauce. And it was, this big around and about that long. And they charge you the same price as a regular bean burrito. And so I used to go there and eat that. But yeah, Mexican food for me after surfing is always the go-to.
Seems to have been, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So that's it. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Not positively. Not real positive stuff. No, I think that covers. Those are good questions. I think we should do another round of this, maybe several more rounds of it, because we can come up with different questions. And
Okay.
I thought it was fun and enlightening.
Yeah, we need to do one about
Skateboarding. too.
skateboarding. And lightning questions would be fun. You have to answer one word
I'm
answer.
watching Rock and Roll Road Trip with Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
At the end, he
does that.
does that to a guy.
Yeah.
And it's this or that.
Yeah, this is that.
You only get two choices, and every one of them wants choice 3 or 4.
Yeah, I saw the one with Billy Gibbons. It was really good.
Yeah.
By the way, if none of you have seen ZZ Top, go see him. It's worth the money, man. It was a great show. Anyway, so that's it, right?
I think that's it for today.
This is Paul.
This is Dennis.
Thanks again for
Thanks for
tuning in.
watching.
Waves and Wheels. Looking back.
Looking back with Dennis and Paul.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.